Hey, everybody, I'm your girl, Natalie Pilkington, and we are Sugar, Spice, and Spirits. I have my co-host,
Mindy Price.
Kelly Williams.
And we are here today. We are at a beautiful place called Bing. It's a fun place, more than beautiful. It's fun. They have great drinks, great food. It's Bing Pizzeria and Brewery in Alvin.
Or Draft House.
Or Draft House.
Yeah, it's Draft
Beverages and food.
Good
friendly
food.
staff,
Good
like
food.
anything you could ask. But this is where we're at today. So we are out here having a great time, always enjoying each other's company.
Mm-hmm.
So today's topic or main dish is going to be integrity. We're going to talk about that. But before we get started, let's go ahead and do a little appetizer. Kelly, what have you been up to?
So this past weekend, we went to Galveston, my husband and I, and we celebrated our good friend's birthday, Jen Crawl. Happy belated birthday.
Happy birthday.
And we went on the Galveston ghost tour. And whether you believe in ghosts or not, it was such a cool thing. Kathleen Maka, she did the tour. She is an author. She is a historian. She knows her stuff. She has done so many things. You can take tours with her. And oh my God, we just had so much fun. We were the wild bunch, but it was fun. I'm hoping to have her on our podcast as a guest. She talked about the 1900 storm, and just, it was incredible. So shout out to Kathleen. If you guys get a chance to take that tour, I encourage you to, whether or not.
Took it and absolutely loved it.
It's just
the history behind Galveston Island, if you don't know.
Yes, she knows her stuff. And I had it pulled up a minute ago, all the different things that she's authored, and unfortunately my phone went down. So, but yeah, just check out the Galveston Ghost Tour. She's amazing. Like I said, I'm gonna try to get her on just to kind of talk about some of this stuff because we had a really, really good time. So thank you so much for being a great tour guide too. So awesome. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, so Travis and I went to an Aggie game. It's the only one this season we've been able to make. So we were playing Stanford, which a lot of folks were saying, oh, it's such an easy team. And it was. And, they didn't score on us and we beat them quite handsomely. But it was really neat to get with our friends and to be at the tailgate. Nothing like the camaraderie at an Aggie football game.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time in a really, really, really long time. I wish I could remember. 1836 is in my mind, but please don't quote me on that. But since they have been 11-0. The big game coming up, of course, is on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, where they are playing Texas. And there are a lot of Aggie fans that are very excited about this game. And we can't wait to see. It's a lot of fun. My son owns an app called the Dis app. It's a sticker pack, and he's got some fun rivalry stickers. He's hoping that it takes off just a little bit, and he just launched that in a little apparel app. So it was really fun. I was wearing one of the shirts, and everybody was like, do you have a Viking on your shirt? And you'll have to look through pictures and see what was actually on my shirt because it was pretty funny, the shirt that I had on. I think I
have some of their shirts that they're very, very cute. Of course, mine are
Dis apparel. So it was really neat. It was all about camaraderie, having some fun, talking a little rivalry.
So how do you spell Dis app? For those, it's on Apple. Dis app is
DIS, like you're dissing something, and then APP, the Dis app.
Very quick, very witty, very fun. I have
lots
no
of fun.
allegiance
Lots of fun
to either team. I'm all about Texas. Texas is the best. So go Texas team. So
right. Well, because at my house,
teams.
I know, but
I didn't say UT. I said Texas teams overall.
At my house, we do A&M, we do UT, we do Texas Tech, and then I also have a daughter that threw LSU in there too. So it's like, our house is always very animated, but this is going to be fun.
Yeah,
this is going to be fun next weekend. So
it was fun when we beat LSU. In their house.
Yeah.
Just saying. But that's not what today's episode is about.
Sorry, Nat. So the one thing we didn't cover before I jumped into the app, we didn't get to premature sip, except maybe somebody at the table did. I'll let you guess in the comments who, except Kelly just gave it away.
Sorry.
And the lipstick on the straw probably gave it away as well. However, the sip of the day is a peach Long Island because nothing says integrity and makes you keep integrity like a strong, stiff drink that'll make you tell the truth. So let's go ahead and have a little
cheers to that.
Peach Long Island.
Right.
Long Islands are one of my favorite drinks. So adding the peach adds a different kind of flair or flavor.
That's good.
Oh, that is nice.
That's good.
It's smooth. It's super, super smooth. Sometimes Long Islands can have a bite.
Yeah.
And that one is just very smooth. James was telling us there's a peach puree that's in there. And, they're fantastic. So again, thank you, James and Bing Pizzeria for having us here.
Yes. So let's talk integrity, that thing that everybody claims to have. In business right now, integrity is basically the new luxury handbag. Everybody loves to show it off, but most of them are fake.
Ooh.
And they fall apart in seconds. Anytime you put anything in them or put them to the test, here's the real truth. Integrity isn't complicated. It's about doing something that you would do whether the camera's on or not. Being truthful to yourself, whether somebody's watching or not.
Right.
It's holding your word. Let me be real. Gen X learned integrity the old school way. Like we told our parents we'd be home when the lights came on. We didn't have tracking apps. We didn't have Apple AirTags in our hair or on our shoes or on our phones. And if we weren't home, we suffered the consequences, right?
We did.
So we grew up in the handshake deal era. If you made a promise, you kept it.
Kept it.
No, let me circle back. No ghosting. No disappearing. You know, it was
Crawfishing.
Yeah. It was your word meant something. Meanwhile, 74% of customers say they've walked away from a company because they broke a promise. I mean, absolutely. If you're not going to honor your word, you're not really worth anything. Why are we going to do business? Because everything else behind, like your warranty, your integrity is all based in that. So here's the kicker. Companies with real integrity actually make more money. They outperform the market. They retain their customers longer, and they don't need 12 layers of BS marketing to cover up bad behavior. What are you thinking?
I'm loving this. Keep going. I've got so many things to say.
So if you want a competitive advantage in today's business world, don't overthink it. Do not reinvent it. Do not rebrand it. Just keep your word.
Yeah.
Be the person who delivers. Be the person who calls back. Be the person who is is where yes still means something. Be the person who values that word. It's just simple.
That golden rule. Do unto others as we have them do. I mean, you don't want to treat anyone any worse than what you want to be treated. So, I mean, when you give your word, and you're right. I mean, that's huge.
Oftentimes what happens with especially newer salespeople and even salespeople that have maybe seasoned out just a little bit and they're trying to remain relevant and things are changing and happening so quickly, they will get in this spiral of saying yes, being a yes person, when actually some of the most powerful word in the world to me is no. No doesn't shut down conversations. No opens up conversations. And it allows you to have that integrity and then to come back and say, we can't do this, but we can do that. Or it is okay to say, let's circle back around and let me get back to you. And because you don't have the answer. Oftentimes companies that are on these hard deadlines and they have these huge goals and they continue to increase like every sales organization and leader does. You sold this much this year. Well, we're going to increase it by X percentage and we expect this. They're not always looking at the variables and what the market is doing. And, you know, some companies do, but then some companies are too soft with those goals also. But a lot of times when you have this integrity issue, your team members feel so stressed that they're going to overpromise and then underdeliver. And the thing that you want to do is you want to underpromise and overdeliver.
Right.
And when you can do that, the trust that you build, most people aren't buying your product. There's so many products that are very similar. Unless you're just in a specific niche, most people are buying you. They're buying the trust. And when you erode that, it is so hard to get it back.
Right.
And sometimes sales managers and leaders and, you know, the CFO and, you know, the folks that are watching the dollars, you've got to be patient and understand all the variables that are there. It's not about making excuses. It's about being real and then setting up your team in a way that they can be truthful. They can say, hey, these are the things that are in my control. You're asking for X, Y, and Z. Let me get back to you. And they're not so forced on a deadline. I've heard story after story where companies are losing money and their top salespeople are no longer their top salespeople because they're not being trusted. They can't
That's I didn't mean to interrupt you, but what you were saying, it's being truthful and not setting unrealistic expectations. My husband works in an industry, in the construction industry, where they submit bids for $1 million projects. And it's like, I know you want that project, but if it's going to take 50 people to do that job and you've only got 30, don't set yourself up for failure, because all that's going to do is ruin your reputation. And word is, let's face it, negative publicity gets around a lot better than positive publicity. And when you're out there and you consistently, you know, if they say, oh my gosh, your price is so good, we're going to give you the job, and then you cannot meet their expectations because you overpromised, but
Mhm.
you're under-delivering because you know who are you really sabotaging? Yourself and your company. So yeah, absolutely. Having the integrity to say, hey, we can't, we're not equipped to do that. I'm so sorry. I would love to give us a shot the next time.
Mhm.
Like you said, no is very powerful because if you admit that maybe you're not quite where you need to be, they're going to remember that. And they're going to come back and say, you know what? They were truthful and they can't do this, but you know what? We have a smaller job and it might be perfect for them. And they're going to remember you. So when you present with that honesty and that integrity, then yeah, that's huge.
Well, let me put that caveat on it really quickly. They may remember you, but it's up to you to continue to build that
Oh, sure, of
relationship
course.
and check in and see how the job's going and what's happening and update them on different things that are happening with your company and being a thought leader and coming back with information. That right there also, if you're trying to get in the door of a company and you have a competitor that's been in for a while, then be a resource for them. Share information with them, share articles, share YouTube videos, share podcasts, share information and white papers that are in that industry that's going to help that individual. And they will think of you, Kelly. They will remember, you know what, I trust this person. And it truly goes back to building trust.
Well, I get so many investors that call me because they want to talk syndication. They want to talk shop. And when we're talking syndication, we're talking 100, 250, 500,000 going into an investment. And they want to know my thoughts and my feedback on these operators, owner operators. What do I think? What am I up to? And I stay in contact. I've had a few people call me just this week on an investment that just finally went live. So it's having those conversations because they know I'm going to tell the truth and I'm not going to sugarcoat. I don't sugarcoat. Sugar is not my thing. So, you know, it's, you know,
So are you saying your spice or your spirits?
Got to watch and tell us what you think. So, you know, it's having that integrity is really what I kind of operate with. It's doing the right thing when the cameras aren't on, when other people aren't watching. Do you return the cart? Do you stop and help someone and not post about it on Facebook? Do you who are you at the core is really what it comes down to. And I think we'll get into it too in another conversation, but the real version, follow through, honesty, owning your mistakes. I just made a mistake out here and I owned it right away. It's like, oops, I shouldn't have done that. I apologize. I'm so sorry. Probably, didn't read the room right, poor taste, and it happens. And when you do something like that, you own it right away. And you don't shy from those tough conversations. And consistency builds trust. Inconsistency destroys it. If somebody does a job for cheaper or they think they can do it and they don't have the manpower to do it, I guarantee the sales team or the team that comes in, the other construction company that comes in to clean up that mess, they are going to rag on Miss Orangey Pants' company here because
Miss Orangey Pants.
because they didn't fulfill the job.
Right.
And people will go in and underbid.
Or if it's poor quality, poor materials, whatever it is. That's
I just went through a new home sales where that was poor craftsmanship. And the construction manager was like, it's fine. I'm like, that wavy line right there is not fine.
It's not fine.
This big 2-foot hump in the floor is not fine. Like, I understand second floors aren't perfect, but come on now.
Yeah.
And then he ended up calling his regional out, and the regional came out and said, it's just poor craftsmanship. Let's make it right. And they made it right for my buyer. So it's those conversations. Good. So in real estate investing, partnership, podcasting, repeat reputation is everything. Like, we value each other's friendship, but we value what you think. Now, we're not going to make everybody happy. We will try and give solid information, but it's having that integrity that we're staying true to our core of who we are as people and individuals. And sometimes somebody will do something that'll make the other person be like, let's not do that. And then, like Mindy said, saying no, those boundaries are integrity. Saying no, not showing up to events or saying you're going to go to something because somebody asked you and you don't want to say no. I don't care what generation you're born in. It's okay to decline. It's okay to say no on occasion. Now, if you're saying no to everything, sometimes you got to put on your big girl panties and go. And Mindy will probably tell me after this podcast, we're not supposed to say that, but big girl panties is a thing.
We have lots of those conversations after the podcast, PS, by the way.
But saying no and not apologizing for it, but you could give a reason. You know, I'd really like to go, but I am just so swamped and I have other things. Not that you're not a priority. It's just not in my wheelhouse right now. And that doesn't mean don't invite me. You know, don't not invite me to the next year's wine party or whatever it is. I still want to be included. But don't say you're going to show up, then not show up, not communicate. That's just a horrible taste. Integrity isn't about perfection. It's about alignment between your mouth and your actions. It's, like those have to line up and they have to match each other. And if they don't, then that's when people start questioning.
Yeah.
It's like, really, what? You say you're this, but are you really? Are you exemplifying that? So we can go into why Gen X still keeps their word. We grew up with parents who said, be home by dark, and we were home by dark. If we weren't, we were in trouble. I remember, racing home as soon as the street lights came on, the boogeyman was going to get us too, other than that. And Gen X was the last group to really experience the handshake deals. Like you said, you'll be there at 3, then you're there at 3. No calendar reminders, no text confirmations, no running 15 minutes behind. And Gen X values that longevity. We do value that loyalty. It's like loyalty in our friendships. It's earned. Long-term clients, we are loyal to people who were there in the beginning. Better partnerships, higher trust, equity. So we're the generation that'll fix the problem, patch your drywall, and still show up for work the next morning. And I'll say, the fact that in conversation, like you said, staying in touch with the customer, saying, hey, we just added 10 more employees, or we're running 5 projects at this. Like here's where we're at now. This is how we're expanding. We increased our insurance. We've done this, or whatever that situation may be. Staying in contact with people. You stay in contact with a lot of your friends. I know you stay in contact with business associates. That's so important. I reached out to one of my friends and said, hey, I mentioned your story on the podcast, the Salad Bar podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, hey, that I mentioned your story. I didn't hear back from him. He's a busy, successful guy. I'm like, okay, that's great. Then something else happened. And I'm just sending him little snips here and there. And then he's like, oh, that's not me. He's like, that's a fake account. Record it. And then I'm like, oh, hey, by the way, we got this little podcast. Would you like to come on it? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. I was like, wait a minute, what? That's awesome. So, but it's your friends that you stay in touch with, that you stay in communication with. They're watching. They may not say something, but they're watching to see what you're posting. They're looking at your integrity. They're looking to see if on Friday and Saturday night, you're posting, I'm at the club, I'm lit, I'm drunk. And then you're at church Sunday. Like, God's going to catch up with you sometime, but to make sure your actions are aligning. Are you putting in the work? Are you doing what you should? Are you communicating? And I think that's so, so important.
Well, we're in a society because of AI that seems to come up every single podcast that we have. And, we've even as our podcast, we're like, well, we actually have bought much more sophisticated equipment, y'all, and we just don't use it. And what we're hearing is authenticity is so important. That refined, perfect look isn't necessarily what everybody wants to see. And so as we're growing, we're hearing, we like the fact that you just go wherever you're at. And, we're starting to build that trust with our audience. And we hope that carries us forward. But what I know for a fact, the clients that I work with, if they don't have integrity, I quit working with them. There are certain things that you can identify and understand when that happens. And the companies that I see and the folks that I see with the longevity, and then the newer team members that are coming in and they're joining them, they are literally getting mentored by people that have integrity, and they're great listeners and they're good communicators. And those young people from Gen X and, our creative millennials, they are looking to grow in companies. Earlier, we did a podcast about leadership and how difficult it is for Gen Z. Gen Z, not everybody, but a number of people get really frustrated with how they want something immediate. They want to continue learning. They want to make more money. They want to, this, that, and the other, and jump through hoops to have other positions. It's not necessarily that simple and that cut and dry. They just don't want to stay stagnant. They feel like they've grown up in an era where it's not looking at these notes that we have here. It's information is at their fingertips. They can look at something so fast, and they feel like if they're not growing, they're going to fall behind because they've literally seen their favorite app that they thought was the greatest thing since sliced bread. And then all of a sudden, it's like the old thing. Like
it's
nobody
outdated.
talks about it. It's like the rotary phone. Now, many of you may not remember the rotary phone. You stick your finger in it, you do this. Oh, we just had to pause. Not 100% sure where we were because, our technology is so great.
If you're not watching this live and you're listening to it and you hear a lot of chaos and a lot of noise, it's because we are outdoors. There is a beach volleyball going on right behind us, and we're watching these kids play, and they're they're actually doing a really good job. But we just had a huge gust of wind come through and blew all of our lighting, everything. I took off running after an umbrella I look like Mary Poppins. Pretty comical.
So I apologize for the not finishing my thought. I'm not exactly sure where I was going with it, but more than likely it had something to do with, Gen X is constantly trying to
be better.
To be better. But then Gen Z is also like, we need to learn. Yeah. We need to stay relevant. We need to understand things are going so fast. The apps that we used to use, they are irrelevant now. You can go in, you can load a spreadsheet, you can ask for data, you can do all of these things. There's thousands of apps that are being created. And because they grew up with the technology, they're like, we got to go. Like, this technology is going fast. We have to also learn and grow fast. So that can also hurt. And you could feel like, as a leader, and I know this isn't necessarily a leadership episode, but you can also feel like as a leader or a mentor or a coach, how do I help them understand that all of these other generations, it takes them a minute to understand this. And by you asking for things so quickly, oftentimes you'll have somebody go, you haven't paid your dues. Well, when you turn it over, if this person is working very hard and they're learning and they're asking for more stuff, there is a way to coach and mentor them to where they are gaining the experience and the expertise, and they're constantly learning. And it doesn't necessarily right now come without a raise or with a higher title, but because you are literally giving them something that fulfills them and makes them feel like they're not falling behind, you're going to be able to help that person. And at the same time, while you're coaching and mentoring those, and you see your other team members who may be falling behind, you can help with that also. But, lying to somebody and saying they're going to get promoted within X amount of time, or saying they're going to get a raise within X amount of time, and factually it's not true, I would think most every single employee would want to know the truth and the facts and what's in your control and how you can help them. And then knowing the timeline of when you can renegotiate that salary or that move. And so that all falls back to integrity too, Natalie.
Well, and follow through. I mean, I'm going to go off on a little tangent tax, maybe.
Okay, tangent tax.
Excuse.
Yeah.
That's an excuse to drink. That's what we call it. We call it tangent tax.
It's not really a tangent tax, but we talked about this past weekend when I was with our friends, and we got on the subject of different styles of parenting. And if you think about it, integrity a lot of times starts at home. And when if you tell your kids, you better stop, I'm gonna whoop you. We're from the whooping generation, by the way. And
discipline.
Yeah,
whooping.
Discipline, whooping, whatever. If you are saying like something like that and you don't follow through, I mean, what is that instilling in them? And so Brett Craw, love this guy, Jen's husband, he's a hoot. He made a comment that they had gone out to dinner one day and their little one was just raising hell at the table. And he said, you better stop or you're going to get a spanking when you get home. Well, he wouldn't stop and he wouldn't stop. Finally, Brett just pushed his food away. He said, you're not going to eat. We're going to wait till we get home. And on the way home, Brett said they got home and he was pretending to be asleep. And they got out of the car and Brett said, you go right ahead and go get your PJs on and get ready to go to bed. And of course, the little one's like, oh, he forgot, And so after he got his pajamas on, Brett said, are you ready for your whooping? I'll be good. I promise I'll be good. I'll be good. And a lot of parents would be like, okay. And Brett said, no, no, and the next thing you know, Brett said, I followed through.
Should be following.
And he said, and now,
James, you want to come say hi on our podcast?
Yeah, come say hi. This is James.
Remember we said James was the host with the most and TJ's amazing also? Well, looky who. Here's Jim.
What'd you bring?
We heard about the Bing Punch. I've never tried it.
Thank you.
It's a little spike.
But it matches my wardrobe.
Glass.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm telling you, this place is amazing.
Yes.
But no, it's so funny because now this young man that he got his whooping, he's 21. And he is listening to Brett and Jen talk about him. He has a lot of integrity. and he follows through with what he says. And if they ask him to do something, or if he says he's going to do something, he does it. And the reason why is because even if it was for positive or negative reasons, I'm sorry, I got to fix this.
Thank you.
Sorry. As a parent, if you promise something or whatever the case is, and you don't follow through, you're not really setting that standard very well. So as an employee, if you are used to being let down from your parents, and sorry, parents. I mean, I've done the same thing.
No,
but if you're
some parents aren't good parents,
right? If you're not used to having your wishes fulfilled because someone promised you or told you, or your expectations met, that's really tough. And when a leader promises something and doesn't deliver, you don't want to be, well, I'm used to that.
And your spouse. I mean, like you go and you have a serious conversation. Hey, this is really bothering me. I need this to be corrected or rectified, or please don't do that again. Whatever it may be. And you and I were talking, you're having the same conversation weeks later. It's because either your expectation wasn't met, his expectation wasn't met. And how do you rectify that? Because the conversation keeps coming up because either A, you're a sociopath or psycho, or B, you're still not getting the answer or seeing the action, like the integrity, your words aren't matching your action. And how do you rectify that? And what do you do?
And it's all aspects of life. I mean, we're talking about business and how important it is to be, a good leader and a good business person and have integrity, but it's in every,
friendship, integrity is an
friendship,
everything thing.
Friendships, parenting. I mean, it's just everything. Sometimes we call it good karma. I returned something the other day. I found it when we were in Nashville a couple of weekends ago. I found a bag of clothes, a brand new bag that someone had left. And I'll admit, I was like, oh, darn, it doesn't fit. Okay, but jokingly, I turned it in to the bartender. And lo and behold, that night, I left my credit card. And I went up the next day. They had my credit card. And then even the next day, I really need to get out of Nashville, because the next day I actually left my purse hanging on the back of a chair, and someone turned it in for me at the airport. And my husband said, that's good karma coming back to you because you turned in something that didn't belong to you. So, whether it's good karma, it's just
or the devil tempting you. We rebuke you, devil.
It's just being a good person.
Right.
Integrity means just being a good, not necessarily wholesome, but just doing the right thing. Just doing what's right. Even when, like you said, even when the cameras aren't watching, even when no one's paying attention, you just do it because it's right. So in all aspects of life.
And in real estate, you see that too. Like, I know people that will wholesale a deal to somebody who's a newbie, and they know the deal isn't good, or they will do things that they know. And granted, I understand business is business, and I understand having the upper hand, and I understand knowledge is key. However, there's downright lying, and there's downright unethical things that people do, such as patching a wall versus fixing what's behind the wall, maybe wood rot or whatever that is. And that's important. I was talking to my girlfriend. She's a really good realtor, dots her I's, crosses her T's. She knows her stuff, and she'll check in on me here and there. And she said, because it's different. So being an investor and being a realtor, you'll hear me say this, it's so different. And we were talking, and she said something about flippers. Yeah, we were in CE class, continuing education trading, and all these flippers buy their houses in LLCs because they don't want to get sued. And I'm like, no, that's not why we buy them in LLCs. My house now isn't an LLC. Why do we put them in an LLC? Because the lender requires it in an LLC. So why does the lender require it in an LLC? I'm always a follow the money kind of person, in politics, in life, in business. Like, why is somebody motivated? Like, I think all politicians, I know we've seen the meme, I think all politicians should wear their number one donors. Like, they should have a jacket, like in NASCAR racing. Who are their sponsors, and why are they sponsoring? So when they're up talking and they have a big logo on their jacket, okay, they're sponsored by such and such, so they'll have a tilt towards that. But with
tangent.
Was that really a tangent? I forgot where I was. What are we? Y'all are drinking. They switched up on me.
You wanted to try it.
We've never switched drinks. You just wanted to try it.
I did, y'all. I just wanted to try it.
It's really
oh my
good.
gosh, the Bing Punch is
really good. Yeah, it's really good.
Really good.
Ooh, that is good.
Yeah,
it's really good. Oh.
Okay.
So for those of you that are just listening, Natalie had to go in for 2 sips.
Because it's, that flavor hits you.
Mhm.
Anyway, real estate, like follow the money. So the LLC, we purchase properties in an LLC when we're flipping. And that's because like our private money, our lender, different people will require. So now I use private money. So if you are looking to place your money somewhere, let me know. But private money puts it in an LLC because it's easier to foreclose if somebody doesn't pay their bills. And unfortunately, it happens, especially in the wholesaling, the flipping world. Inexperienced people get in over their head. Even experienced people get in over their head or don't do their due diligence properly.
Mhm.
And then a lot of times people will give cash, keys for deeds, and they'll just write the
Okay.
property, which is the right thing to do. If you've messed up, don't drag your private money, your lender through the rigmarole. Just give the property back over. Take your L with integrity. Hold your head up and get back on the playing field and do what you got to do.
And integrity also, in the long run, could bring you and your business referrals. I mean, and think about as a female, my turn. Thank you. As a female, when you go to the used car lot or any car lot,
or even an oil change. Yes. Oh my goodness.
Think, oh man, you need this, you need that. And you're like, well, I don't really know that much about that.
Yes.
So yeah, we do the whole used car thing together, and it's fun because it's funny how you can stand
What
up.
do you mean y'all do the? What do you?
So my late husband always told me, he said, you never buy a brand new car because let someone else take the hit
The
for
depreciation.
the depreciation.
I always buy brand new.
She always buys brand new, and so she has a hard time. And so anytime we go do something like that, I always go with her. I'm like, nope, you can't do that. Nope, you can't do that. No, we'll be back. We'll go. She's like, I'm like, ugh. And so, but it's funny how you can do that when you can speak on someone else's behalf than your own. But it's when you are at your most vulnerable is when you really rely on those other ones, the people you're talking to have the most integrity, because you don't want to be the one that you wake up one day and you're like, I really screwed the pooch on that one. Sorry, I probably not supposed to say that, but I did. But it's like, I mean, sometimes it can be devastating financially, emotionally, physically, if you just are taken advantage of by someone who does not exercise good integrity.
Well, and
it's
it's also
horrible.
a problem for, maybe problem's not the exact right word, but when you are somebody who does have a lot of integrity and you pride yourself on the truth, then you assume, and we all know what happens when you assume, that everybody else is going to be the same way. And as we've gotten older, we realize there's a lot of snakes out there.
A lot.
And there's a lot of people you think they are going to have your best interest at heart. They are going to be truthful. They are going to lead with integrity. And they just don't. Why are we having this episode? Because it truly is a real thing. Your word is so important to many people, but unfortunately, it's not always important to others.
Well, and what's important to you isn't important to her. And so it's not, sometimes like people are so sue happy. You may maybe looking at this and you feel like they messed you over. And in reality, they didn't mess you over. They just weren't looking through the same lens that you were looking through.
Right.
And so sometimes too, that's to seek first to understand, but don't have that expectation of everybody unless they're your paid representation. They should have your best interest.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'll never forget when I first heard the term paradigm shift. I was like, what?
What's
What is
paradigm?
that? What is a paradigm?
The club on 1960?
Sorry.
And when I learned that,
Don't go there?
no,
Been there.
Oh.
no, I'm like, no, I didn't. But when I learned about the paradigm shift and that not my reality is not everybody else's reality, and seeing it from somebody else's side, that was huge for me. And it was, my truth is my truth. Your truth is your truth. And, then they always say, well, somewhere in the middle is the truth. But sometimes people are literally seeing it from what they, your paradigm, where you're at. This is what you're seeing, and it makes sense. And you feel like you do have integrity and you are being authentic. The other person doesn't see it from your side and they completely feel differently. So then it always goes back to communication, understanding expectations, setting clarity, making sure everybody's on the same page, going way back to the beginning of this, not over promising and saying yes to everything. When I said no is so powerful, literally in business, even with your kids and with your spouse and your family members. Hey, this is what we're talking about. It is let's say a serious subject. Go back and summarize what was said. Am I hearing you? Am I understanding you? Does this make sense?
Lost art.
It is an art that is
because I said so does not work in every scenario.
Because I said
as
so
a parent,
has
it does.
held a lot of people back, but not even anymore.
6'7".
Oh,
No, there she went. Tangent tax.
So yes, cheers.
Lost art.
No, but you're right, and I think in everything we talk about, whether it's business, whether it's communication is key, because like you said, you cannot expect someone to see things in the same way, and sometimes it's like when you go to the doctor for a second opinion. Oh, that doctor may have tunnel vision. It doesn't make them a bad doctor. It's just sometimes someone can walk in and see things from a totally different objective. And sometimes it can be a life or death situation. And, like I said, I'll admit, me and the hubs had a little difference of opinion this weekend. And I'm sorry, I'm going to say something. I lost my shit. But my friend came up to me and said, she said, well, what about this? And I went, oh, yeah, my bad. And I had enough gumption and enough love for him that I said, I was wrong. And I'm sorry, I didn't see it that way. And I apologize. I apologize to him. And that's huge when you can recognize the fact that, you did something a little bit out of character and you were misguided, misled, whatever. Even though you thought you were standing on your own principles, they were a little bit skewed. Because you didn't see everything from another objective, another opinion. And that's huge because someone can come in that maybe doesn't have a dog in the game and they're like, did you think about this? You're like,
but that's a friend. That's a friend.
Yes.
No, that is a friend.
If you can't call out your friends when they're screwing the pooch, as Kelly says, or when they're doing something wrong, then you might need to reflect, why can't you say something? And are they really a friend, or are you really a friend? Like, what are you in this for? Because I want the best for them. And I will tell you straight up, like when we had our first meeting, like I was like, I'm all about, like when we had our first lunch, when we first met face to face, we knew of each other. I was like, I'm all about marriage. I'm pro marriage. And I will, like, if you're a cheater, like, I don't want anything to do with you, kind of pretty much. And I didn't know anything, and I didn't have there was nothing that came to me from any, like, no,
preconceived kind of.
How you hear rumors or anything like that. And I don't know why the conversation went that way, but for me, it's an integrity thing. How you treat your spouse and how you treat the person that you supposedly love more than anything else in this world, that's going to be there after the kids are gone, that's going to be there. That speaks volumes about how you are as a person. And even if you're going through a divorce, even if you can't agree or disagree, whatever,
right.
and you've tried marriage counseling, like that to me speaks 100% volume on how you are as a person. And that's the kind of conversation that we had. I picked up a girlfriend from the rodeo. She was messing around with somebody else and she was married. And I was like, my car, and I took her butt home, and I was not happy. And I don't care what they say they have in their marriage or whatever. I was like, you get my car.
Yeah.
And she did, because I would have hated to have to fight her at that place. She might have won. So, but I'm like, that, no, ma'am. Like, no, not on my watch. Like, get your butt in the car. We're going home. And she did.
Well, and you can reach out so far, and if they want to reciprocate it and they want to receive it, then great. If not, then you've done your best. You said, hey, here's what I don't agree with.
Hey, 5 marriage counselors later, I get it.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, the friend of mine this past weekend that she heard my conversation with my husband, and she said, so I heard you. And I tell you, I have to disagree with you on a couple of things. Now, mind you, I've known her for a while. He's known her for a long time, but she very much was not on his side or my side. She said, hey, this is where things are here. And it was huge. And I was like, wow, thank you.
Thank you for that perspective.
Thank you for that, because she gave me the perspective as a married woman, as a female, but also from his perspective, say, did you think about this? And I went, no, I did not. And that was huge. And yeah, because I could probably still be carrying a lot of right now. But I mean, she made me realize, yep, my bad. I was wrong.
So I'm the one here. I've been married for 23 going on 24 years. Very happy with my husband, love him very much.
Yes.
And I'm fish out of water sometimes in the conversations that they have because this is my dude, this is my man, but hearing the things, you losing your husband and then being in the dating scene and getting remarried and you trying to salvage your relationship and going through the marriage counseling. And then, now you have this amazing long-term boyfriend and the conversations that we all bring different things to the table. And sometimes they'll say things and I'm like, y'all peaced out on this one. I'm listening. I will give you my opinion if it makes sense. I don't like to talk just to talk. Some of you may think differently. But it's like, what can I add value to? And I think that's part of integrity too, is holding your tongue and not having an opinion when you don't have anything of value. If you don't have an opinion, not making things up. And, in life and in business, integrity is incredibly important. And are there people out there that are total douchebags? Yes.
And you say that?
You can say that. I don't know, but we're going to say it anyway. There are those that are out there and they do tend to go faster, but I think if you peel the curtain, if you peel back the curtain, we're ignoring, and you look back, how happy are those people? Actually, you said something one time on the podcast. You said you don't want to lie because you don't want to have to think about, well, what did I lie about? What did I say? You don't want to have to keep up with it.
Yeah.
And if you just live a life where, look, it's going to hurt people's feelings. You may look like the douchebag yourself. You may look incompetent. You may look, all of these things where maybe it's ignorant, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. But at the end of the day, if people know they can actually trust you and you can say you were wrong here, these are the things that you believe in. And if trust, it goes, it's so simple. It's like, I want to make it overly complicated with the most beautiful words in the world. It is as simple as when you have trust and somebody knows that they can trust you, you know what? Sometimes it may hold you back just a little bit, but in the long run, I truly feel like it will put you so far ahead when it really matters, because trust is something, once it erodes, somebody may come to you because they need something, but then you're in a position where they may just be using you because you have what they want, what they need. And as soon as somebody earns their trust, they're going to drop you like that. But when you have trust and then you, let's just say it in layman's terms, screw up, and then you own up to it, they know they can trust you and you're going to get a pass because of it. Trust is super important. If you screw up and it was out of your control, or you did something and you explain it, maybe it's because I am Gen X, but I've truly seen where I've owned up to my mistakes, and I am certainly not perfect by any stretch of the imagination.
We agree.
But I'm sure they do. But I will be accountable for my actions, and I want to make changes. Those people that are stuck in, well, I've done it this way, I've always done it, or I can't make changes, or there's nothing new for me to learn, or whatever.
Narcissism comes to mind with that.
Yeah.
Like narcissism, they refuse to see
And
it.
the thing is that I'm sorry is a powerful phrase. And sometimes it is the difference between whether or not you can even move forward. Because if you're not sorry and you're stubborn, which I have been known to be that person.
Very stubborn.
But at the end of the day, if the quality of your life and the quality of your business and the quality of the relationships that you have are dependent on whether or not you own up to your mistake, or then, wow.
So
how
I'm
powerful
curious,
is that?
the word I'm sorry. So years ago, I was taught in business, you don't say I'm sorry.
I apologize.
You say I apologize.
Yeah.
What do y'all think about that?
So you're right. Okay. That's a very good point, because I think I'm sorry has a couple of definitions. Sorry could be like, well, you're sorry. Like you're less than what I think you should be or what you are. I mean, you're a piece of crap.
Yeah.
Versus I apologize. I wish I hadn't done that. I wish I hadn't said that. My bad.
I wish it didn't make you feel that way.
Yeah. Whatever it is. But yeah, but I think it also depends on what generation you're from, because there's times that you and I had a little discussion one time. one of my favorite things was, well, to be honest. And she goes, "Stop." I'm like, okay, well, to lie to you. And she said that doesn't carry a lot of credibility when people say to be honest. I'm like,
What, you weren't speaking the truth to me already?
Exactly. And I'm like, well, yeah, but maybe I'm really trying to emphasize. So I'm 11 years older than her. So it just comes from
9.
9?
9.
Oh, thank you. I'm younger than I thought I was. Okay. Wow. Or either you're younger than I thought you were. So no. But a lot of it goes back to communication and interpretation.
Right.
Because a phrase that I use.
I bet she is 11 years older than me.
Is she?
I don't know if we did the math. Anyway, keep going.
So
Sorry.
if you say, I apologize that I apologize that you felt that way.
I apologize, you're stupid. You don't know what I'm talking about.
Right. Like, so your apology does mean something in how you say it and how it's delivered. I knew somebody that wouldn't apologize. And then when they did, it was very condescending. Like, oh, I apologize you felt that way. Or I apologize that you're an
Because they turned around on you.
and can't figure it out. And you're like, that's
Not what I'm saying.
No.
So
Or,
I think
I apologize, but
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if like I walked up to my husband, I said, "Hey, I'm sorry. I was wrong. Wow." And I mean, I had to, stick my foot in my throat. Oh, I'm sorry. But he was like,
How did that go?
"Ugh." But what was so funny was that when I had the moment in front of our friends too. And I apologized to our friends. And he said, "Yeah, but you didn't apologize to me." And I went, "Oh, you're right. I was wrong all the way across the board. I'm going to own it. I was wrong. I overreacted."
well, I think a tale as old as time in a personal situation, and maybe even think about this with your teams, but let's think about it from a personal situation. Unfortunately, when we are with somebody every single day, oftentimes we'll think about everybody else that we're around. And so you're making that apology and you're forgetting about the person that means the most
to you.
They mean the most to you.
Yeah.
You forget about that. And it's like, oh my gosh, in full intent, of course I'm apologizing to you, but you're making it more known to the other people. And then that person over here is like, wow, what about
where do I
me?
rank? Right.
And you don't even think about it. And it's like it's
a
taken
given,
for
right?
granted.
Like it's a given.
Or
yeah.
it's taken for granted
Yeah.
too. So
It's like, I was dumb. I acted stupid. I'm sorry. But sometimes it's just nice to hear it because he's the last person on this earth. Him, my family, my daughters, my best friends, they're the ones that sometimes need to hear it the most.
Yeah.
And when you make a mistake in business and you walk up and you say, "Hey, you know what? Wow, my bad. That was our mistake. We overbid, we underbid, we whatever." You own it, and it speaks volumes and on so many different levels in so many aspects of life.
Yeah.
So yeah.
and this isn't
And
a
it's freeing
communication.
to yourself too.
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's a laid on your heart for a reason. God placed it there, but it's a freeing moment
Yeah.
for you to actually truly give that apology in earnest,
Yeah.
being earnest with it and letting that person know, like, I'm so, so sorry. Like,
And some people are not good communicators, but you can learn. There are so many
Yeah.
books that are out there that can help you. I, of course, could be
And-
that person, but there are great coaches. There are great resources out there that can really help you understand how to give a real apology, how to communicate better, how to be okay with the word no. When you get to a no, that's just a great opening to understand why when it comes to a business context, of course, or even a conversation with a family member or a friend. It gives you that opportunity to really listen. Well, what is that objection? Because 9 times out of 10, you didn't really hear what their need was. And then once you understand, then you're able to have better communication. And so it all ties back.
or they
in the
didn't
end to-
communicate effectively
Correct.
too. Like, Brian and I went to an affordable housing. I didn't go to my Appetizer thing. We went to an affordable housing conference. No, I skipped straight to it. Went to the drink. I was thirsty too, so I went to the sip of the day. But we went to an affordable housing conference, and going to this conference and learning about affordable housing, Brian said, "Well, why don't you just go early?" And in my mind, I'm like, if I go early, he's not coming. I need him to be there to learn and grow with me. So I said no. But then I had FOMO because we missed day 1 of information because we were driving to get to BFE or wherever it was, which we had to go to. So he's like, "Well, I told you to go." I said, yeah, in my mind, what I heard, my translation was, you go without me. And I'm like, oh, hell no. And then his translation is, you go with friends that were driving up and ride with them. And I'm like, makes sense now, but it's after the thought. So it's lost in translation to what you're thinking. So
Absolutely lost in. We had that conversation on the way up here today. The men are from Venus, the women from Mars, or whichever planet it is, and just not being on the same page, not being on the same planet. Misinterpretation, because you sometimes you just don't speak the same
you have
language.
your own fear.
Yes, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your best friends, whether it is your business partners, whether it is this realtor or the car salesman, they're speaking one language and you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. And it's lost in translation. And then at the end, you sometimes feel like you got the raw end of the deal.
Well, you also have to train yourself to ask better questions. There's a knack for that too.
Having ownership of that. Research shows companies with strong ethical culture exceed competitors' financial performance by 24.6%
That's significant.
over a 5-year period. And that's according to Seattle University. That is significant.
Yeah.
And it's not an overnight thing like you're going to increase your sales by 20%. Like everything isn't revenue based. And I think when we lose focus of the human component that's behind everything, like the nurse that was checking in the woman who was coming into the hospital because she was giving birth. And maybe she didn't do the pre-check-in. Maybe she didn't do everything right, didn't dot her I's and cross her T's. I'm all holistic. I have people that have home births all the time. But they get scared and something goes wrong and they want to go to the hospital for that comfort and that
Sure.
ease. They didn't do the check-in. They don't have the health insurance. They don't have certain things. And to get to the hospital and be dismissed, that's like you're losing sight of human empathy. Like the whole thing, it's so important.
You know who comes to mind just right off the bat every time you think of integrity and the human connection is Mattress Mack. Mattress Mack. When Harvey hit, he's got this showroom full of I got chills, beds and furniture. And he said, and I'm not going to be ugly about other people that didn't open their doors, but he said, come on. And the flood victims right now, every time you buy something, we're going to send a mattress down to the flood victims from the, not the valley, from, that area.
Fredericksburg.
Thank you. Fredericksburg. That man, that man is the most giving person in the world. He is very successsul. I can't even imagine what his
gallery furniture in Houston.
He has
He's
several
huge
stores.
Supporter of the PTSD Foundation of America and Camp Hope also.
Very philanthropy.
He will literally give you the shirt off of his back. And when things go wrong, he absolutely steps up. And yes, he's wealthy, but he also recognizes those people who are having hardships. And he wants to share it and he wants to take care of his people. And when you think of integrity, when you open your doors to these people who have lost everything, they have 6 feet of water in their house. And you're like, you know what? Open the doors. We can replace this. And there are people laying on beds and he's bringing in food and he's bringing in, first aid and everything. And that is integrity. That is when you put other people first, their best interests first. And he is the person that just really comes to mind all the time when you think of someone who's just a do-gooder, just for the sole purpose of because they can.
Talk about grit and determination too. What a great story where, he started off on the side of the road with a little pop-up and then it grew.
Remember his game, save you money. And he would jump up and down and bless his heart. He is the epitome of, if you're a success story, if you have just 1 ounce of goodness like what he's got.
Mattress Mack is his other name. He's also known for having some of the biggest gambling bets. Like if the Astros win the World Series, you get free furniture. He will hedge his bets. So he's definitely a businessman.
Yeah.
He will hedge his bets in Vegas against his policies and what he sold here in Houston or Texas he'll deliver all over. This isn't a Mattress Mack commercial, but I remember when he went to another stadium to go for the Astros, because our Astros are fabulous. I don't care what you say. When he went to another stadium and somebody heckled They heckled Mattress Mack. They did not know the gangster that they were dealing with.
No.
Mattress Mack unleashed on them and the whole city of Houston, from Paul Wall, Mike Jones,
Everyone.
everybody in Houston. Houston is known for its rap scene. We've got a lot of great rappers here.
We did.
They were all behind him. Everybody in Houston was behind him. We're like, go
Yeah.
Mattress Mack.
Yeah.
We
Mack,
absolutely
his
love
his
you.
full name was Mack Mackendale. Like I said, gallery furniture. But just, like I said, that's the kind of person, if you could emulate anything, any part of your being, that is who always comes to my mind.
81% of consumers say trust is top deciding factor when choosing who to work with, higher than price. 88% of employees believe ethical leadership direct impacts workplace culture and performance. And 56% of employees say they've been asked to do something they consider ethically questionable in the past.
Yeah.
Were you going to say something? No? Okay.
I just didn't want you to poke me in the eye.
71% of employees say integrity. So young people out there, like I know we have a younger listening audience and we love and appreciate you, but 71% of employers say integrity is the number one soft skill they scream for above communication and teamwork. If you have integrity, the rest will fall in place. 62% of employees would take a lower paying job if it meant working for a company with high integrity. I worked for one of those companies for 15 years and helped grow and build them nationwide. And I loved what the company did. And I loved how it impacted people's lives, how it impacted our customers' lives. And for me, that was very valuable. It was until they didn't appreciate me and they did a payroll reduction. I'm not bitter. You're bitter.
No, so it comes down to whether you call it karma, whether you call it the golden rule. It's like, you know what? And I'm sorry, pardon my profanity. If you don't want to be treated like shit, don't treat anybody else like shit. I mean, you do unto others the way you want them to do to you. And I guess, if you just think, if I walk in someplace and I get treated like crap, my aunt she wore sweats and she wore Converse and I love her. Sometimes she's like a little hobo. She was the president of Waylon Jennings' entire company. And she walked into a BMW. Waylon, Outlaws. She walked into the BMW dealer, one of the BMW dealerships in Nashville. And because she walked in as Mary Lou, they would not even give her the time of day. She said, okay. They didn't know she had a blank check. She walked right next door to Mercedes, which I drove BMW, so I'm not cutting you down. But she walked right next door to Mercedes. Salesman walked in and he said, what can I help you with? She said, I want that car right there. And he said, okay. She wrote a check. She drove right next door to BMW and said, you see what happens when you prejudge, when you don't ever judge a book by its cover. The thing is that the way they treated her was not the way they would have wanted to be treated.
Right.
And she just said, okay, I'm fine. That was a total tangent. I don't know where I was going with that.
But love her or hate her, like the way you treat people and judging a book by its cover.
Huge.
I know it is a tangent, but Bethany Frankel and the whole Chanel story, and that went completely viral on TikTok and social media, which most of her stuff does. But, she wasn't treated well. And she was like, we should be treated better. You shouldn't just judge somebody for the way that they look.
Well, when our sweet little Jose Altuve walked into Louis Vuitton.
Yeah.
Sorry, I do have a couple Louis Vuittons. And
apologize for that.
I know. But they wouldn't wait on him.
Yeah.
Houston was PO'd. It was just because he just didn't look like the caliber of person that walked, but it's like, do you not know who I love? Jose Altuve?
Well, it doesn't matter who he is.
It doesn't matter.
You treated
right.
well and with respect because you are living, you are breathing. And, if you're going in with respect, you should receive that in turn.
Integrity becomes a competitive advantage. That is how you set yourself apart.
Oh, that's
competitive advantage.
That's very good.
Proverbs 28:6. Better is a poor person who walks in his integrity than one with a perverse way who is rich. And
I love that.
you try and teach your kids. It's like, say what you mean what you say. Don't tell me you're going to do something and not do it or say I'll get to it later or whatever excuse you want to have. Because the bottom line is, it doesn't matter what you have in life. It doesn't matter if you lose everything.
Mhm.
The one thing that you have that nobody, and I mean nobody, can take from you. And you hear this from Holocaust survivors. You hear this from business survivors who've gone through bankruptcy and different things. People cannot take your integrity away from you.
Right.
And you can sell your soul and you can do all this other BS. But the bottom line is who you are at your core, your integrity isn't a class situation. So no matter where you're starting, no matter where you're going, no matter where you've been, it's never too late to start. And maybe if you have made some poor decisions in life, start now taking action and being that person of integrity.
Yep.
And your friends and your past examples may not follow. They may still believe the old you or how you are. But if you're leading a life of, I'll say a Christian life, if you're following the Lord, or if you're going in a way, just being a person that means what they say and says what they mean and their actions back it up, you can turn that leaf and you can be a better person. So how can you be a better person in life today? How can you do better? Where can you exemplify, whether it's leading by example with your kids or in the workplace, or just however it is in life, be better and do better and let your light shine. And the world will follow the rest. And if they don't, that's okay, because you know what? In the core, you are true to who you are. You have integrity and your word means something. So
You never know who you're influencing.
you don't know
Everybody's
who's in your
watching.
Everybody's watching, especially now. Everybody's watching, and you never know what your actions bring to other people's lives. And if hopefully it's positive
right.
and not negative. And then,
There's something to be said for laying your head down on the pillow and not having any regrets.
and peaceful sleep versus, oh my God, yeah.
So if you have integrity, you will subscribe to our podcast, Sugar, Spice, and Spirits. And if you don't have integrity, you won't.
Shame
be a
on you.
subscriber. I'm just kidding. Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. If you have a show topic, an idea, we'd love to hear from you, because you are what make our podcast.
Right.
Yes.
One of our best shows, Keeping Up with the Joneses, came from a show idea from one of our listeners. So thank you guys.
Yeah.
Follow us, subscribe, give us drink ideas, whatever. Also like, comment, whatever.
And again, thank you to Bing for having us today, Bing Pizzeria and Draft House. And
Yes.
cheers to you.
Sugar, Spice, and Spirits is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are solely those of the host and guests and do not represent those of any affiliated organizations. The content provided is not intended to be a substitute for professional advice, whether legal, financial, medical, or otherwise. Always seek the advice of qualified professionals regarding any questions that you may have. While we aim to keep information accurate and up to date, we make no guarantees of completeness, reliability, or accuracy. Any action you take based on the information presented is strictly at your own risk. Cheers to mixing a little fun and some friendly advice. But remember, sip responsibly and always do your own homework.